Hello friends, this is your friend Colonel Kavya here. I will today try and explain it to you the status of women in the Indian Defence Forces. Well, the women in the Indian Defence Forces, it's been a very long and an old story. Women have been in the Indian Army or Indian Defence Forces since 1888. That was the military nursing service, MNS we call it. They have done a wonderful service during the World War II. And since then they are continuing in the Indian military nursing service. They put on khaki dresses. They are officers only. During the British time, the Britishers had raised another corps known as the Indian Auxiliary Corps. And just for information, Noor Inayat Khan was one of the members of the Indian Auxiliary Corps. She was a spy during the World War II. She was working in France, and France was under the German occupation that time. She was captured, executed by the Gestapo. She had done a wonderful job as a spy, and she was awarded the George Cross by the British Empire government that time. And we were not behind. Even Subhash Chandra Bose, the legendary visionary freedom fighter, in 1943, in IN, Indian National Army or Azad Hind Fauj, he had created a separate Rani Jhansi regiment. This was a pure women's regiment, a battalion, almost 1,000 women. Captain Lakshmi Swaminathan, popularly known as Captain Lakshmi Sehgal, was the commanding officer. So for India, women in the defence forces are not new. Now before we go further, we'll have to discuss certain terminology. Terminology in the sense that, so that while I explain it to you, the various subsequent concepts, you are not confused. Further ahead, we'll be discussing Short Service Commission, Permanent Commission. So let me explain to you what are the types of commission. There are different types of commission. However, the point in discussion here would be about Short Service Commission, which is for 14 years, extendable by 4 years, that is 14 plus 4 years. And there is no pension for men and women of Short Service Commission, provided they live within those 18 years. Men have an option of getting permanent commission, but women till 2020 had no permanent commission. They had to leave after 18 years. What is permanent commission? Another way of inducting officers into the army, into the defence forces, wherein they serve for their complete tenure till the time they retire. The retirement ages for officers in the army varies with the rank. For colonel it is 54, for brigadier it is 56, for major general it is 58, for general it is 60, and so on. So permanent commission, all pay, perks, pension. Short Service Commission, serve for 18 years and go back. No pension for women. And obviously only pension applicable to males who get permanent commission after short service. So here we are discussing the issues of women. And women have had a very long history of a legal battle for getting the permanent commission. Now another term which would come ahead is combat role. Women not being taken in combat role. What does that mean? There are 3 types of arms in the army. One is the combat arms, the combat support arms, and the services. Combat arms are those arms which are eyeball to eyeball with the enemy and at times indulge in close quarter battle, including bayonet fighting, fighting with kukris, etc. if required. They are the infantry, पैदल सेना जिसे कहते हैं, the armored corps, टैंकों की सेना, and the artillery, that is तोपों की सेना, तोप guns की सेना. What are combat support arms? Combat support arms are those arms which support the combat arms. They support the combat arms. For example, the engineers build bridges over which the vehicles, the tanks go. They lay mines for preventing the enemy to come into our territory, etc. These are combat support arms. What are services? सेवाएं क्या है? The Army Service Corps, they supply ration. The Army Ordnance Corps, गोला बारूद supply करते हैं. The EME, they repair the vehicles and tanks and other equipment. So combat arms who do the actual close quarter fighting, combat support arms which support the combat arms, and services also support in the administration of the combat arms and the combat support arms. Now let's go further. What is command role? Women were till 2020 not permitted command role. What does that mean? Command role means commanding officer of a unit or a battalion. An officer who gets selected as a commanding officer after 15 to 16 years of service and commands 840 to 1000 men. That is command role. It's a very respected appointment in the army, and women till date were not permitted command role. They were not CEOs of any battalion. Some of them have even completed 24 to 25 years of service and still they are not commanding officers, whereas men at 14-15 years were permitted commanding officers by means of a selection board. So that is what command role is all about. Now let's go further. The post-independence history, we'll just go a little into the history. What is stopping the women from getting into the defense forces? You know, the Army Act of 1950, the Air Force Act of 1950, the Naval Act of 1958, it prohibits women from joining the army except for as specified by law. So what did the law specify till date? Till then it specified that women could be permitted only in the military nursing service, in the Army Medical Corps and the Army Dental Corps, doctors and nurses, nowhere else. And that too, till then it was short service. Subsequently, 1958, the lady doctors in the army, the lady dentists in the army, they were permitted permanent commission 1958. So to summarize it, till 1992, women were permitted only in the military nursing service as nursing officers, Army Medical Corps as doctor officers, and Army Dental Corps as dentist officers in the defense forces. However, the situation changed after 1992. How did the situation change? Let's see. 1992, a government notification permitted women in short service, that is 14 plus 4 years, remember that, in the Army Postal Corps. Postal Corps deals with dark postages, Judge Advocate General Branch. These are the lawyers and judges in the Army Education Corps जो पढ़ाते हैं आर्मी में, the Army Ordnance Corps गोला बारूद सप्लाई करने वाली फौज, and the Army Service Corps which supplies rations. In these services, the women were permitted by notification 1992 in short service commission, that is 14 plus 4 years. Gradually, by the year 1996 came, they were also permitted into certain more branches which included signals, dealing with communication, electrical, mechanical engineers dealing with repair of vehicles and tanks, engineers, which was a combat support arm basically, civil engineers building bridges, laying mines, etc. in the intelligence corps for getting information, and army air defense, that is knocking down the enemy aircrafts. So by the year 1996, these 10 services / combat support arms, the women were permitted into short service. Now let's go further. A point to note here is, till the year 2006, this short service was known as WSES, Women's Special Entry Scheme. After 2006, it was known as Short Service Commission, at par with the men except for permanent commission. Short Service Commission of men after 14 years were permitted permanent commission subject to capability, but women not permitted permanent commission despite capability. That was the difference. So what was WSES? They had a very short training of 6 months, whereas men of short service had a training of 1 year. And women were permitted 5 years plus 5 years extension of service for 10 years. But 2006 onwards, the service was made as 14 plus 4 years, equal to the short service commission of men except for permanent commission. That you have to understand the difference. Short service commission had no pensionary benefits. Even if a man was in short service commission, unless he was absorbed into the permanent commission cadre, no pensionary benefits. Women serving 14 plus 4 years, they were not permitted a permanent commission. Now, an important step was taken by the government in 2008 when women were granted permanent commission into two services, the JAG, Judge Advocate General, and the Army Education Corps. JAG, these were the judges and lawyers, and Army Education Corps, these were into the teaching faculty of the Army. 2000, so the women had filed a court case in the year 2008. 2010, the High Court on that court case gave a decision that all women short service officers be granted permanent commission with all consequential benefits, that is pension, etc. Now, after 2010, the case lingered on for 10 more years. And finally, the Supreme Court judgment came somewhere in 2020. Now, before that, what had happened? See, in 2015, the Indian Air Force was a leap ahead of the Navy and the Army, and they permitted women into combat roles. In the Air Force, the fighter pilot fights. The fighter pilot takes an aircraft, goes deep into the enemy territory, bombards the enemy territory, and comes back. Quite a risky mission. And Air Force permitted women fighter pilots. At present, there are approximately 10 women fighter pilots in the Indian Air Force. The case still continued in the Honorable Supreme Court, and see, a beautiful decision came in the year 2020. What's that decision? Let's see. In February 2020, the Supreme Court directed that all eligible women be granted permanent commission in all the 10 branches. Till now, in those 10 branches, the women were 14 plus 4 years short service commission, go back home without pension. Supreme Court said, oh, nothing doing. These women have to be granted permanent commission, just like men. And those who are not granted permanent commission, they be permitted to complete 20 years of service. Why 20 years of service? Because once you complete 20 years of service in the army as an officer, you get pension. So in case they want to leave, they be permitted 20 years and they should go home with pensionary benefits. This was a major landmark decision by the Honorable Supreme Court. And further, the Supreme Court said, women will be permitted into command role. That women will be permitted to go through the selection board, and in case they fit the bill, they will be permitted to be commanding officers of the battalion. Wonderful. Now, permanent commission has been given to women. Women have been permitted to complete 20 years, and in case they want to go with pensionary benefits. The command role has been accepted by the government, and it has to be accepted because it's a Supreme Court decision. But the board for making them commanding officers, the selection board, is yet to be held. One more important, further we go further, let's see. Now gradually, to be politically correct, the government has taken one more beautiful decision. What? 83 women have been included into the CMP as other ranks. Till now, women were only in the officer cadre. And officer cadre is a very minuscule cadre, it doesn't represent India. The men, the persons below officer rank, PBOR or the OR, we call them other ranks. They are a majority. Now 83 women have been permitted into the Corps of Military Police. What's the military police duty? Doing policing duties within the defense forces. 83 women have already joined. This strength has to be extended, this number has to be extended to 1700 in the next 16-17 years. It will take time, but the process has started, the good thing has started. 2021 onwards, women have been permitted in the NDA, National Defence Academy. You see, National Defence Academy was a male bastion till now. Cadets of all three, officer cadets of all three wings, that is all three services, that the Army, Navy, Air Force were trained in NDA, and thereafter they used to go to IMA for military, the Indian Air Force Academy for Air Force, and the INA for Navy. NDA was having only male cadets. Now women are permitted, 19 cadets are already training in the NDA. The feeder institutions for NDA, that is the Sainik schools, the Rashtriya Military Schools and the Rashtriya Indian Military College at Dehradun all will have women cadets. And the interesting part is here, the children are from 10 years onwards, 10 to 18 years of students are here who will be feeding NDA. So girls will also be going to NDA in case girls are here. We go further. Now the only battle left is combat role for the women. Combat role has been given to women in the Air Force already in the year 2015 in India, but in the Army and the Navy, combat role has not yet been. Navy has partially agreed, but it's not a combat role in the true sense. Air Force permits fighting arms to the women fighter pilots. 10 fighter pilots already exist. Army is not permitting combat role to the women so far. That means they are not still inducted into the infantry, armored and the artillery, wherein bayonet fighting, hand-to-hand fighting, close combat, eyeball to eyeball, even fighting with kukris and bayonets takes place at times. Navy has made a token progress. 4 women on board warships have been included, but they are still not permitted in the submarines. We go down. Reasons for not giving women permanent commission to the army. Why was there so much of hesitation in getting women into the defense forces? The points against and for, this will be useful for your examination. Points against given by the government was, our troops are from the rural background and they will not accept women as the leaders. Not a very palatable or not a very convincing reason. Physiological difference, men are stronger than women and women will not be able to endure the vagaries of defense services. Not convincing. What happens in case a woman is taken as a prisoner of war? Well, she has signed her life for the nation. She has to be ready for all the consequences. How does it matter? India not ready for women in body bags was a statement made by our chief of CDS earlier, which was contested quite a bit in the news media. So these were the reasons given against taking women into the defense forces. What are the reasons for it? India has a patriarchal outlook. Defense forces have a patriarchal outlook. It has to be broken. Women have shown their performance and competence in various combats earlier. Lieutenant Colonel Madhumita granted Sena Medal gallantry during attack on Indian embassy in Afghanistan in 2010. Squadron Minty Agarwal guided the Air Force fighters into enemy territory during the Balakot attack. Granted Yuddha Seva Medal. And well, when you sign for the defense forces, you sign off your life for the nation. So there should be no difference between men and women. Both sign their life for the nation and they should be ready for all kinds of consequences. Let women decide what they want. Let not others decide for the women. Now finally, we go down. The brighter side of the story is we are not far behind. You know, the US calls it to be a developed country, the leader of the Western nations. They have given combat role to the women only in the year 2013. The United Kingdom, the flag bearer of democracies of the world, have given combat role to the women only in 2018. So India should be appreciated for whatever it has done. More has to be done still, but it has to be done deliberately in a phased manner. Thank you and Jai Hind.